Hello again, Kitty Colding, talking about solving last mile problems in analytics. So today we're talking about this middle step here in this middle row that we refer to as articulation. And it's hard for me to overstate how important this part of the process really is. So this is also the part that always seems to be the most prominently missing when we study companies and the challenges that they're facing. So the idea here is, again, we've taken some findings out of the dashboard, right? We're moving beyond the dashboard. We've visualized it. And now what we're going to do is put these findings in context. We're going to communicate to our users what the data says, why it matters, and what you are supposed to be doing about it. What we see here is that companies have frequently spent a lot of time getting these initiatives off the ground. And as we mentioned in previous videos, often have created a shared vocabulary, a whole new vocabulary for how to talk about and think about and refer to data elements and the role that they play in the organization. And we see this as an important move, but we also see it creating some difficulties as well. So think about it as you have a native language that you grew up speaking. For me, it's English. I can learn French. And I can learn French such that I speak it beautifully. But I will always be a native English speaker. And when I go home at night and with my friends or my family, I'm speaking English. That's the tongue in which I am most comfortable and where I think the most freely. And thought is really the key here. So if you take that analogy and apply it to your organization, you know that your sales team speaks very differently about the organization compared to how finance talks about it, or tech, or operations. You know that they all have their own vernacular, their own terminology, and they approach the business really very differently. So our recommendation is, if you're looking to embed data-driven thinking and start getting people to start ingesting these findings and really doing something with them, you have got to speak to them about these findings in their language. You want to study their terminology. You want to get a sense of what they do and how they talk about it, so that when you're communicating about these findings, you're saying it in a way that goes right into their heads. They know exactly what you mean. They don't have to stop and think about it and translate for a few minutes. You want to get the right language, you want to get the right perspective, and you want to get the right emphasis. One of the things that we like to see companies do is actually create separate articulations. They might find the same data point and articulate it in one way, literally using narrative, written word, one way for finance and one way for ops and one way for sales. And so what you're doing is taking this visualized finding and you're writing about it, and you're covering the bases of what it is, why it matters, what you're supposed to do about it, and you're saying it in the vernacular and the native language that particular group uses. And you'd be amazed what a difference it makes when you're speaking to them with that kind of perspective and you're explaining the data in that way. So always keep in mind who the user is, what their role is, what their perspective, what their pressures and constraints might be in the organization, and decide whether also, given who they are, you need to make these findings prescriptive. Should you be giving them advice about, look, this is the data, this is really something you need to be doing to take action with it so that it becomes part of their workflow. If you can set up your communications around data findings in this way, you will see an enormous improvement in getting people to utilize your data and actually start thinking next time they have to make a decision, I wonder what the data says, so that you're actually getting far better performance and much better results from almost everyone in the organization. Okay, that's it for today.